With 50 plus years of combined produce, supply chain, entrepreneurial, and business experience, Craig, Slate, and Ed Bertaud discuss the impacts of fresh produce on their lives and health. This podcast is a casual conversation between two friends just trying to get better. This is the Fresh CrEd.
Welcome, everybody, to another The Fresh CrEd podcast with Craig and Ed. Thank you all for joining us. This is number 12 episode, and we are thrilled to be here towards the end of July. Welcome, Ed. How you doing, my friend?
Pretty good, Craig. Excited. Number 12
for
Big 12.
Yeah, it's exciting. 12 is like a dozen. 6 times 2. It's actually craps. If you throw that in craps, it's not good.
Yeah.
Unless you've bet on it, then it's good. I don't know. 12 seems like it's baker's. What's a baker's dozen? Is that 13 for some reason? I want to think a baker's dozen is 13.
I believe that's 13.
Reason. Is that right?
Yeah. That's where the baker would
So
throw in
what is
like
that?
An extra bonus. Yeah. Pretty sure.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I think it is 13. Maybe that makes some sense. I never knew why they called it a baker's dozen.
Yeah,
but
because like the baker's taking
not
care
a
of you.
baker's dozen.
It's an extra, like an extra bonus. 13. Pretty sure.
It's kind of like when you got licks on your birthday. You always had one to grow on.
Mm-hmm. You might want to explain for those. Yeah, like punches or spankings for most
Come on,
people.
Don't act like you never got licks for your dad's birthday.
I just
don't act
know
like
if
that only happened.
The majority of our audience are going to know the context of what you mean by licks, and that means basically spankings or beatings or punches or from your friends, family, etc.
There was no there was no freaking beating. Number one. It was only like a stick or something they'd whack you with.
Yeah.
It didn't hurt that bad.
Okay, well, I'm just translating for you.
Most of the time. In fact, I think they used to line up. You know, your friends would line you up, and I don't know. Maybe it was different back in Mesquite, Texas. I don't know. It was different.
Could have been a little
Youre, I don't know. They always offered you one extra, though. That was to grow one. Here's one to grow on. So baker's dozen. This is not a baker's dozen. This is just your basic egg dozen.
Next one,
like you get 12 eggs.
Yeah, next one will be a baker's dozen of podcasts.
We'll expand on the baker's. Yeah, we'll expand on the baker's dozen next week, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So
pretty happy with the feedback so far. What about you? Like, we've had some pretty good feedback, right?
I am as well. You know, the show is starting to gain some traction with a few folks. We're getting some good feedback. In fact, when we get to the quotes later in the show, I'm actually going to, one of the listeners provided me with my quote this week, an outstanding quote. But before we get to anything else, I want to address one of the things that came up on the feedback this week, and it's not
good?
Manscaping, which I did get some feedback about your manscaping.
Why are you getting feedback on my manscaping?
That.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I agree. It was kind of strange that I got it, but I did. And that's neither here nor there. Don't worry about that. Okay. I told him you do not dye your hair, or at least I've never seen that. But somebody mentioned you and the Botox that you had. And I guess I didn't realize you had Botox.
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
And you don't have to talk about it. I realize it may be a little touchy. I mean, I don't know did you have your lips done? Your eyes, your nose. I don't know. What was it you had? What was it, Botox, that you had done?
Yeah, I think somebody might just be messing with me. Yeah. I don't know. Laura Mason, you got a name on that comment?
Yeah, that was Angus Brown. And his his comment was, "You may not dye your hair, but let's address your excessive use of Botox, .. exclamation mark.
So do you know an Angus
Brown? I know where you live.
Do you know an Angus Brown?
I know an Angus Brown, yes.
Okay.
He's an old friend. He's just giving me a hard time. Although I don't know which feels worse, an old friend or somebody I don't know. But yeah. No Botox. but when I get to that point, I'll consider it. I'm just not there yet.
Well, Laura, I mean, we might want to reach out
Thanks
to
for
Angus.
asking.
We may want to reach out to Angus and see if he's got some info for us. Possibly get Angus on the show and have him come in and talk a little bit about Ed and the Botox. Huh? Or if
Yeah,
nothing
definitely.
else, yeah.
We'll
He may
reach
know
out.
some things on Ed. That
Angus,
love to
Angus
talk
and
about.
I were roommates many years ago in Las Vegas, and so yeah, he would have probably a couple stories about me, but there's no way he's going to get on this show to talk about it. Let's put it that way.
So did Angus ride bulls or anything? I mean, that seems like a name that you should be doing something with.
No, he's too tall to ride
arena.
bulls, but
Maybe he's a
that's a
bareback
heck of a
rider.
handle.
Yeah, it is a handle for hell, for sure. For sure. Well,
he was a team roper.
Oh, okay. Well, see, he did do rodeo.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, well,
so yeah, that's good. I'm glad we dispelled the Botox thing. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. I haven't partaken, and yet. But that's kind of a compliment, I guess.
I think that's the way you should look at that. The hair dyeing and the Botox.
Thanks.
I think you should look at both of them. Although the Botox kind of makes you fluffy, so I don't know.
Well, honestly, I'd be more apt for some lipo, frankly, because I've got some problem areas I haven't been able to, get taken care of. But I don't think that's ever going to happen.
So before we leave this, Ed Bertaud and
great segue.
Yeah, cleaning yourself. We spent quite a bit of time. I mean, this may be like an entire segment. We may just deal with Ed Bertaud and whether it's manscaping, Botox, whatever. You've got this coiffed look about you always, and it doesn't matter. So, I think you had something you want to talk about, like ear hair or something like that, in terms of one last thing before we get out of here. You got some advice on ear hair? You're shaking your head now. I can see your video. What are you doing?
Look, it was just a comment, right? I mean, we know why we have hair, body hair, the whole 9 yards, but I'm just trying to figure out why, as we get older, ear hair, nose hair, it's kind of a hard thing to control, and it's getting a little annoying. Let's put it that way. What's your secret? Let me flip this around on you. What's your secret?
You know what? I'm going with. I've seen there's some people that really rock it, and so that's my style, right? I'm just gonna rock it, like rocking white hair, my white hair on my face, white hair on my head, and ear hair. Let it be is what I say. So.
Oh, cool.
Or have the barber cut it out. So that's another option, which is what I usually opt for. A little extra, but I'd get it done.
Yeah. Well, tip them well.
It's like the baker dozen.
Tip them well.
I will. Yes,
so
sir.
So that's the feedback for the week. What else we got?
Well, let's see. Do we want to, before we've got our quotes, we've got what you eating. But I wanted to talk a bit about, something, what you watching. This is not a new segment, so don't get excited. But, we talked about, so I grew up, well, I'm not going to say where I grew up, but this is some people know this is going to be very close, but there's a show called 306 Hollywood out. And this is something Laura turned me on to, and I watched this documentary. And it's this lady that lives in the same house for all these years. She's a grandmother, and the grandkids, after she passes, basically do like an archaeological dig on the house. I mean, so they're not digging anything, but they basically go through her stuff. She's passed away, and so now they're going through and they're kind of documenting and reliving. But they also had taken pictures of her or movies of her throughout the latter part of her life, so very close. And you know, special for Laura and Laura, I think especially because there were certain traditions and way of being that were very similar to my mom, and I think it resonated with her. But it's a real good documentary on just to watch through, and it's touching, but at the same time, it really brings home, at least it did for me, you know, some of the stuff they're going through. It's like things that we save and we put away. And, you know, kind of when you're gone, it's just like, why were you saving all that stuff? Right. I mean, whether it's canceled checks or, I don't know, even some old t-shirt or something, right. Of deal. I mean, I've got a box that, you know, when the kids finally, you know, when they go through my stuff, like, what, you know, all these old t-shirts, what, you know, I never see them again, right? I put them in that box, they get stuck somewhere, they get moved around every time I move. And, you know, it's just begin to wonder, it's like, you know, what are you keeping all that stuff for? And then when you're gone, they just come in and people take it and, you know, they're shredding stuff and part of the movie. And it's just like, you know, the people that have to clean up, they shred it. So I guess it's a little bit of a sad, but it's really like a question. It's like, what are you holding on to in this life? And what are you hanging and dragging around and keeping up with that's relevant? And what are you hanging on to and keeping up with that, frankly, maybe is not all that relevant? You know, maybe like old bills and old cash checks and things like that probably shouldn't be taking up space in your house or your life, period. But Laura, any comments or thoughts on what you saw from the show? I was curious on your takeaway. I know it was very close to relating to, you know, the old house and my mom and you know, and our Sunday dinners and everything. But anything on your side?
For sure. I related with the grandkids a lot because I grew up going, you know, pretty much every Sunday to my mom and papa's house. We'd have a great dinner or lunch, I guess, and then everyone would either take a nap or watch some golf or, you know, like we would just spend all day there and it was absolutely wonderful. But my mama also had like a house full of things and like memories and knickknacks, and there is just so much going on in there, and I really enjoyed that. And so seeing these kids, like having interviewed her every year, or like their grandma, like I wish I could have, you know, or I wish I would have had the foresight to interview her and ask her about her life and all that. um but I feel like they got to connect with her even more after she passed by, going through her things and seeing all of her, like she used to be a fashion designer, and they like had a vintage expert like go through all of her stuff. I don't know, it was just fascinating how an ordinary person, through going through all their things, like can be fascinating.
Yeah, so that's weird. I mean, it's obviously we kind of saw it from two different angles, I guess, in terms of our takeaway on it. But you're probably your perspective is probably much closer to what they were able to see as the grandkids, and you know, mine was a little different in watching it. And you know what? I mean, and believe me, I know about all the stuff my mom had, and it's one of those things where. Um, I don't know. I guess some of that stuff, you know, for people like you, or you know, for the grandkids or whatever, maybe there's something there. So,
I know that whenever, I mean, it makes me sad to think about it, but when you and mom pass, like, I will be the one that cares about all your old stuff because I love vintage things and I love like family memories and all that. Like, I don't know, I will take a lot of care and appreciate it, you know?
right. Yeah, and you're like my brother Ronnie. He's much closer to that stuff, and certainly for him. In fact, you can, you know, between you Nina and Ronnie, most of that stuff got dispersed to you guys more than anybody else. But Ed, did you get a chance
I
to watch it?
didn't. I didn't, but I'm super intrigued. And you know, I watch American Pickers. I love reality TV, so I watch Pickers, and it's a show. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but similar things happen often where folks call these guys to come and look at their loved ones' collections, particularly after they've passed, and you know, look for things of value or offer to purchase them, etc. So yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I just made myself a note because I really like that stuff. And it's funny because I've been thinking about this a little bit here recently. The older I get, I really try. I'd rather buy, the old adage, quality over quantity. Like, I like to buy things that I feel like will outlast me and that maybe I can hand down, to my kids or to my grandkids, etc. And so, like this weekend was the Hunters Expo here, and not everybody's into hunting expos, but I am. So Lainey and I went, and we, instead of buying 1,000 different things and all the junk and plastic stuff that was there, I purchased a few items, but of those items, there were quality items that will definitely outlast me. A couple of them, a couple Damascus steel bladed knives, bought Callie a piece of turquoise jewelry, stuff like that. That's like a little more than I probably want to spend, but they're things that are of quality and will last, forever. I could have bought a bunch of other junk, but I didn't. So anyway, yeah, I'm interested. I'm going to watch it. That one I will promise I will watch. Is it on Netflix or HBO?
All right. Check it out.
What's it on?
306.
What's the platform?
I think
it was Amazon Prime.
Oh no. I don't have Amazon Prime.
All right, well, never mind.
I think that might be the only thing I don't have is Amazon Prime.
But you don't have so you don't get stuff delivered from Amazon?
I do, but I don't have Prime. I don't really need it. I mean, things get here when I do order from Amazon in 2 days most of the time. And on the TV side, I've got cable, we've got Disney Channel, we've got Netflix. I mean, there's only so many subscriptions you can have.
But this comes with Amazon Prime. I mean, just about everybody on the face of the earth. I mean, you don't buy. It's not a TV. It's not a separate subscription. If you have Amazon Prime for deliveries,
right? I mean, you pay for it, so.
Yeah, but you pay for the Amazon service. In other
I'm
words,
familiar with the concept.
I just haven't. It's like if you buy something off Amazon,
like it's. I mean.
I just didn't realize anybody else was out there that didn't do that. I'm sorry.
I'm behind the times, I guess. I used to be a big eBay guy.
I mean, Amazon.
Okay? So I'm just warming up to Amazon, and it's only really when I can't find it. Even now, I still prefer. And most people that don't ever buy anything on eBay think that it's still the whole auction format for everything. But the reality is, anybody that sells anything is on Amazon, eBay, and every other platform they can sell something on. So. Yeah, I actually feel like the functionality of eBay is better. I prefer the app. Amazon's app is just, to me, seems a little, I wouldn't say confusing, but it's kind of just, it's just not as user friendly. I don't think. It's just my personal preference. So 9 times out of 10, I can find it on both.
Okay, that's cool.
Get me all riled up.
Well, I mean, we just came through COVID. I mean, literally thought everybody signed up for Amazon during that. I mean, you're like the only person I know. So
I'm sorry. I don't know. I mean,
that's cool.
Hey, what you drinking?
No, you
let's
don't
talk
have to
about that.
Sorry.
What
It's
you drinking?
fine. Just check it out.
What you drinking over there?
So currently, or just
like
any day of the week?
Now, because this is an evening edition of the Fresh CrEd, in case nobody's noticed. And I succumbed.
It is a happy hour edition.
I succumbed to peer pressure.
So,
what you got there? Little vino?
So here in this town, there's a little rush. It is vino, and in this town, there's a little restaurant that works out a deal with one of the vineyards, and it's not here. It's up in Napa, I believe is where they're out of. I think it's Piedmont, but anyway, they work out a deal with their grapes, and the restaurant has the wines made for them specifically, and it is a Merlot from Block 50. It's really nice. Had it at dinner the other night, and then the good news is if you buy any bottles to go, you get half price wine. So it got a lot better. It was really good when I was having it for dinner, and when I told me it was half price, if I took it to go, then um, I wound up really loving it. So
That was the good news.
Serlo from Block 57. That was the good news. It was. It's like I say, it's really a good wine too, for sure.
Interesting. Well, that's good. Good for
You,
you.
what about you? I'm
Green
sure
lights.
that's what are you drinking over there? Like I see it's a cocktail. It's not. Hopefully, it doesn't have sugar in it. Hopefully, it's what I think it is.
Well, yeah. I mean, I couldn't let you drink alone, so I went and grabbed a little
I appreciate it.
tequila on the rocks and a little bit of lime. So that's what I'm partaking in.
Well, what's the
But
tequila? Is it?
let me. It's still part of the bottle of Ravel. That it was actually the last of it. Really good silver tequila. But I will say it's been 14 days since I've had a drink. So can you say the same?
Shit, no. It's been at least 14 days since I haven't had a drink.
Oh man. So from now on, whenever you say like I can't have some kind of bread or carb or anything that I'm trying to let myself off the hook for, all I've got to say is wine.
Right.
I'm just going to say wine. That's
exactly.
it. And you know what I mean, right? Like back off. Okay. I found a bread
Yes, I do.
alternative.
There's no.
Okay.
I got you. And that's fair enough.
Okay.
I'm not
Because you
gonna
really
hold
gave
you.
me a hard time
You know,
about
I got August coming up.
my flatbread that I found that I was all excited about, and you kind of really knocked me in the dirt last week. So next time it's just going to be, you know what? Wine.
It may not be the first time I've been accused of being a hypocrite. Let's just say
that. All right. Well.
All right. So, but before and that's actually a nice segue into what you eating. But before we get to what you eating, I got one more thing. So we talked about 306 in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And and then again, it's good. Take it, check it out. But we didn't talk about the new app that I came across, did we?
Well, we've talked about a lot of apps, but I'm not sure which one you mean. I'm constantly deleting apps. I had to do that today because I ran out of storage on my phone. What app are you talking about?
You remember we talked about? Well, this is a dovetails on Dementomori.
Okay.
So
you want to remind folks what that means, or I've got the definition up here if you'd like me to recite it.
You get the definition. I mean, it's simple for me. Just realize that you're going to die someday, so don't lose this moment worrying about something stupid, and then regret it because maybe you die tomorrow.
So the definition, I don't remember if it's Wikipedia or Webster's. We took it out of, but remember, you have to die. It is an artistic or symbolic reminder of the inevitability of death, featured largely in art and architecture of the medieval period. Pretty heavy.
So, yeah, it is. But again, it's just be cognizant that we all are going out of here the same way. And so let that, measure what you do each day, right? I mean, if you want to spend the day all angry at somebody because they cut you off in traffic, well, that may be, like it or not, you may die tomorrow, and then you spent your last day here on the planet being angry at somebody for cutting you off in traffic. So just let it kind of keep you aware and measure how you react to stuff. But that being said, that's not the app. The app is a kind of a follow-up to that. And so I'm going to be honest with you. I have not tried the app. I just discovered it, but our wonderful producer has tried it. And I'm going to let her speak to it a little bit. I've downloaded on mine, so I'll have a chance to talk about it over the next week. But it's called We Croak. That's the app, We Croak.
Croak.
Laura, talk to us. What do they do? We Croak.
Yeah, basically it sends you a notification about 5 times a day with a fresh quote that just reminds you that existence is fleeting, you're gonna die, with just a nice little quote. It's pretty cool. I've enjoyed how it forces me to think about it. it does kind of put things in a different perspective. With me being 9 months pregnant, like it is, I don't know, kind of funny to also be thinking about death as well as introducing new life.
And so everybody listening, don't think this is morbid. This is actually a healthy way if you look at it appropriately. And so my quote today from We Croak is whether or not, and this is not my quote of the day, so this is not what we are quoting, but this is on the We Croak app. Whether or not enlightenment is possible at the moment of death, the practice that prepares one for this possibility also brings one closer to the bond of life. And that's Joan Halifax. So I'd probably need to spend another 2 hours and a couple glasses of wine to really dig into that quote and maybe get some real understanding of it. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I'll see how this We Croak thing goes. If they blow up my alerts too often, I get enough alerts as it is, it may not work out for me, but we'll see. Anyway, new app.
I
Check it
can't
out.
help. I can't help think about how you got 2 quotes wedged in one episode. Like, that's not fair, but we'll let it slide this
Well,
time.
You know me, I'm always cheating, always trying to get a little something extra.
Oh yeah,
just like the baker's dozen.
That's interesting. I don't think I'm going to be signing up for We Croak. You know,
no.
Yeah, I think I've spent enough time.
What now? Why? So let me ask you, why? Why you don't like you not like thinking about death?
No, I mean I don't particularly like thinking about death, but I don't think I need the reminder. Like I'm feeling pretty good about my perspective right now. I might use it later, so you know, I won't totally discount it, but I think I'm okay for now. Thank you though. If there's any good ones,
all right,
send them my way. But speaking of quotes, what's your quote of the week? What's your real
quote?
Let's
hear what you got.
Me first?
No, I want that. You got to start off. Yeah, you're first. You're first today because that way I have to follow you.
So my quote comes from Robert Collier, an early self-help author, nephew of Peter Collier, or the founder of Collier's Weekly. And the quote is, "Success is the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out." Kind of simple, right? But I like it. I liked it.
It is.
Yeah. What you got?
No, I think again, I like how. Well, I want to ponder that just for a second there.
Success is the sum of small efforts.
So success,
repeated day in and day out.
I think that's so very accurate, right? And you know that's why I think for people that do spend a lot of time doing what they love, success tends to find it because you know you don't mind repeating what you love day in and day out. You don't mind getting up each day and doing it and doing the small things and doing the little things to help you get better at that kind of stuff. So
yeah. I mean, I use the analogy of today. I mean, you know, I've been intermittent fasting during the week since February, right? So 2 meals a day. And really the first meal of the day isn't really a full meal. It's just something to kind of knock the edge off all of the caffeine I've had. But it's not getting any easier. Like, you know, since February, we're now in July. And, you know, if I go the weekend, which there's no way I could have, I guess there is a way. I'm just limiting myself by saying that. But I would have a harder time. I think this weekend I burned 12,000 calories or something like that. So I tend to eat, right, normally on the weekends. But come Monday morning, when I'm trying to hit, you know, go to 2 o'clock and hit 18-hour intermittent fast, it's just not getting any easier. And I don't know if I got to figure this out. If it has to do with what I ate the night before, you know, whether or not that has an effect on how long I can go. But today was pretty tough. Plus, you know, I got up extra early today for an extra early conference call. So I was awake longer, just by a little bit, but I was. And so I think it was almost 3 o'clock by the time I ate something. And it just, again, didn't seem any easier, but I remember I was thinking to myself, you know, I almost gave in. And then I said, man, you've done this so many weeks in a row, so many times, the hunger will subside. And I know there's folks out there that'll say they fast for 24, 48, 72 hours like you, that probably think I'm just being, a wimp, but it was a challenge, but I stuck to it. And it wasn't even a small effort. I felt like it was a big effort.
No, and
but
I mean,
it was like once you do it, you can do it, and then you can do it again, and you're building on it. And that's where I was going with this, is that you were talking about success of small efforts. It kind of it's along the same vein.
well, and I want to go back. You talk. I mean, I'm not going. There's no wimp in any of this stuff. I mean, if it's 24, believe me, there's plenty of people that do 7, 8, 10, 12, much longer fast than I even begin to think about. I listen to some guy that, in fact, the whole podcast was on fasting or something. I listened to it for a couple of times, but they do 30-day fast, dude, water only. Now there's working up to that. They don't just wake up one day and they start doing it. But so none of this stuff that we talk about or we look to do. I mean, it's kind of individualized, right? Whether it's fasting or it's eating certain stuff or whatever. It's got to be something that you as an individual can do, and it's got to be effective. So that was going to be my follow-up question to you is so how are you in terms of size, weight, overall health, overall how you feel, right? So you kind of hit when did you start this? 2 years ago? Something like that? Has it been
In
2 years?
November, it'll be 2 years.
November be 2
November will be
years.
2 years.
And so when did it click that you felt that you'd lost weight, got kind of to a size that you never thought you'd get to, and you started feeling good? What was that, 12 months in?
No, it was 5, 6 months in. I mean, I had lost, a bunch of weight and was feeling good, but really almost I feel equally happy with the results of maintaining. I mean, I think that's I feel like I've got a next level to get to. I'm just trying to figure it out what it is and what it looks like. Right now, I'm okay maintaining by intermittent fasting during the week, really, eating healthy. I don't really eat junk, don't drink often. So I could continue to do what I'm doing now and probably be okay. But I think for some reason, I feel like there's more out there. So, but the other thing is time. Everything's so time consuming. Anything you want to do.
But I think the important thing, and this is what I'm getting at here, is for anybody listening, and as we talk about being on this journey, the thing that you've got to feel good about is you've developed a lifestyle that's helped you maintain a healthier place than where you were 2 years ago. Is that fair to say?
Oh, that's 100% accurate.
So that is the accomplishment. Like, in other words, what's problematic, right, so often is people, they do these things and they get somewhere that they wanted to get, and whatever they did, it was not something that they could, live with, right? Obviously, it became something that was not something that they wanted to do or they could do long term. And so they didn't maintain it. They, whether it put back on weight, had to get back on medication. To me, that's not really what, what's successful is being able to carve out through some of these different challenges, whether it's fasting, whether it's eating different, whatever, things that you can sustain, not just for a year or 15 or 18 months. This ideally becomes a lifestyle that, yeah, you constantly try to get better, but the main part of it is you don't regress, right? It's not a fad for you individually. So that's what I say. If 16-hour fasts are working and you're able to maintain good health, kind of got to where you want to, where it's at least better than you were 2 years ago, and you're able to, chip away at that, that's significantly better. I mean, and if there's more that you want to do, that's great. But at the end of the day, what you never want to do, at least for me, is you don't want to get to a point where what you're doing is something that you like wake up one day is like, what, I'm tired of this, right? I'm going back. I don't want to live like this. I don't want to eat. I want to go back and eat donuts or just forget the fast, because that's where the mistake comes in. It's got to be something that you want to do and that you feel capable of doing. And it may never be for you to do 2-3 day fast, but you may not need to anyway. You may be doing other things that work just as well, or get you to where you need to be anyway. So anyway, I just don't want.
Yeah, I mean that. Right now I'd rather exercise regularly and not have to fast for 2 or 3 days. But you're right. I mean, it's. I don't even really think about. I mean, like we talked about, cheats here and there, opportunities, green lights, desserts, stuff like that. But I mean, that's kind of what makes it all bearable, right? As long as, it's the exception and not the rule. Those, treating yourself basically to indulgences and making sure it's worth it, right? It's something special. It's not something, out at the gas station that you're picking up.
Well, I mean,
but I just don't see myself going like it's not eating poorly just isn't conducive to what I'm doing and what I want to do, with my life and, physically, particularly physically. I just can't believe I never looked at it that way. So I feel pretty lucky that I'm not really too wrapped up with what I'm not eating or can't eat or don't want to eat.
and I mean, we talk about. I mean, it's like, would me drinking less or drinking no wine be better? Yeah, for sure it would be. But that's one of the things I didn't want to put on my list. I'd rather fast for once a month, for 48, 70 hours, something like that, or, just make other choices, in terms of what I eat and consume. But like for you, it's been something that you put away for the most part, 14, 15 days or whatever, and you have a couple of glasses of tequila, but it's far reduced from what you once did. And but now you have flatbread, because flatbread's good for you. And that's messaging wise, as people are listening in on this, is that's the main message is you've got to try and not make your lifestyle change miserable for you, because you'll never stay on it.
Well, and that's where I can't work with the step-by-step programs, like the diet, eat this at breakfast, eat this at lunch, eat this at dinner. Conceptually, yes, but not, I can't follow instructions like that, and I learned that early on. So kind of, you develop your own little systems or your own little, your own little programs, to use your term you like to use so much.
So anyway, and so I wanted to make sure, because I don't, neither one of us are really challenging. We kid each other a lot, but at the end of the day, we're not. This is not a competition for either one of us with each other. It is really trying to learn from each other on different things that we're doing that we either stumble upon or we find that make us feel better and make us, healthier.
Well, I mean, it is kind of a competition because I already feel like I won. So I don't know if I won, if I beat you, if I beat somebody else, but I feel like I won. So
well, we'll get you a trophy. Kinda... How about that? Laura, let's see what we can do, because Ed does love a damn trophy. I know that.
I love me some trophies.
All right. So let's see. Let's get to, can I go to my quote now? Are you ready for mine? This is,
oh yeah.
Yeah, this
you had
is
a quote?
perfect.
Because you already had one earlier.
This is actually perfect for you. Man, this was like, I set this segue up so well to what we just talked about that I'm impressing myself here. But now, in all fairness, before I give the quote, this is from one of our listeners, a good friend of mine. It's a shout out to Jason Domenico out there who wrote me and said, "Hey, for the next quote coming up, this might be good." And I thought, you know what, it fits perfectly with the show. And now with what we just talked about, it's like a perfect lead. That was a perfect lead in. So thanks, Jason, and appreciate you listening. Here is the quote we have: "Try not to become a person of success, like Ed, but rather try to become a person of value, like Craig." Albert Einstein via Jason Domenico. Yeah.
I like that. Try not to become a person of success, but rather try to become a person
Yes.
of value.
And that's what you should set out to be a value to people.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong. Can't say I'm good at practicing that, but I see it sounds good in theory. But that was Albert Einstein. That guy was pretty good. Was he successful though? Was he
He's
successful?
kind of a smart
That's
guy.
the question. I don't know. I mean, power squared.
Yeah. Well, anything else you're dabbling in health, wellness? Did you learn, study on anything this week? I had something. Again, it's kind of still half baked, but
is this that pie recipe you sent me?
You kind of weren't too excited about my.
Oh.
No. Well,
okay.
We'll get to
what
that.
What is it you're excited about?
You weren't too excited about my probiotic rant last week, but I listened to another podcast where it talked about gut health as it relates to emotional health, and man, a lot of things that really made sense. I mean, think about like gut wrenching and stomach turning, and all those sayings, right, and all those phrases. They've come about as for a reason, right? So, I was listening to an expert talk about gut health as it relates to emotional health and brain function. It's really important. I mean, it's really important. Your gut affects the way your brain operates and vice versa. And that's why when we get nervous, or scared, or stressed, you have issues with, potentially your gut, stomach, intestines, etc. So it was super, super interesting.
All right. Hang on.
And then my
full disclosure here.
Was the
full disclosure here for everybody listening. Okay.
Okay.
Craig has never said probiotics are bad or they don't work. And Craig has never said gut health is not important or essential to good health. Health begins in the gut. That was Hippocrates or whatever the famous doctor was. Hippocrates. What is he, Laura? Hippocrates? He was the guy with the the staff that had the snake around or something. He's a Greek guy or something. I don't know.
Hippocrates?
Is that what he was?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he's the founder of medicine. Come on, guys, help me out here. Y'all act like y'all don't know who I'm telling. But anyway,
sense. I mean,
Hippocratic,
yeah,
that guy,
medical doctors,
Hippocrates,
or
something like that. So either way, type away over there. And
I think it's
Hippocrates. I said that. So I'm in one of those words. I said, I'm pretty sure I said hypocrisy, but nobody said, yeah, that's it.
I think I said that.
Oh my God. Anyway, health begins in the gut. So hang on, it begins in the gut.
Don't get defensive
because you make these statements like Craig said he's not for healthy guts. That's not what Craig said. I said I haven't found a probiotic.
It makes sense.
I haven't made a
probiotic
that makes things work well for me gut wise. I'm looking for one, and I'm just
I've got one for you.
Well, you need to send me that. So I need a recommendation because right now the ones that I use, I just don't notice any different. So, all right, continue on. I want to put that disclaimer out there. Laura, make sure that's in the write-up.
All right. So the other thing that I've been learning, a little bit about, and just conceptually, it's just funny. I mean, I don't know. I can't believe I struggle so much with sleep. I mean, I can wear myself out completely and I still have a hard time sleeping. But there's a concept I don't know if it's a syndrome or a concept or what you want to call it, but it's called revenge bedtime procrastination. Whereas basically it describes the decision to sacrifice sleep for leisure time that is driven by a daily schedule lacking in free time. And I think that's what I have. I think that's what's wrong with me.
Huh.
Yeah. So at least we know what to call it now. Revenge bedtime procrastination.
I've never heard that. That's new for me.
I don't know if it's a real thing. I just thought it was interesting. No. Yeah. I thought it was interesting.
Revenge bedtime procrastination. Yeah. Interesting. All right. So, man, you don't have that's that problem, not true. So I mean, here's my problem. Mine's not going to sleep. Mine is staying asleep and then not letting something come on my mind that makes me think. So it's about 3, 4 in the morning, and I haven't been sleeping in my Shikibuton. The Shikibuton seriously seemed to help get me through, but I've been sleeping on a regular old bed that's soft, and honestly, I can't wait to get back to the Shikibuton and the what the heck kind of the buckwheat pillow. That's true story. I got to be honest with you. I'm ready to get back to buckwheat pillows and Shikibutons. And but I wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning. If I wake up and
sounds like a pillow you can eat
that for breakfast. If I can just,
in case of emergency,
I can just not think about anything of any relevance, But man, yeah, I go off. It doesn't take much, and the next thing you know, I'm done ski for the next 2 to 3 hours. And, weird thing is, at 3:30, something like that, I'll wake up. I'll begin to think about stuff. I'll lay there for an hour and a half. The sleep thing that makes me the sleepiest is my alarm going off. So I guess when I start waking up at 3:30, 4 in the morning, I just need to set my alarm for like 3:35, because as soon as my alarm goes off, I'm the sleepy dude in town. I mean, that thing goes off, and I just feel like I'm ready to go out. So maybe I'll do that. I ain't thought about it. It just kind of clicked in my head.
Problems.
So, I think I get.
You're too conscientious.
So I think I get like 5 hours of sleep at 5 to 5.
I just can't go to bed.
See, I can go to bed. Going to bed's not a problem.
Really?
Surely you've seen me fall asleep in establishments.
Well, we'll work on it. You don't have revenge bedtime procrastination, but you've got something else going on. I'll have to do a little research. Did you eat anything exciting this week? Anything we could share?
I did. And this is something along the lines of continue to get better. There's going to come a point in time where this old boy from Texas, Mr. Red meat eater guy, I may not eat any. I may eventually be off the red meat or off of any consequence. I mean, I'm pretty much reduced it down quite a bit as it is. I talked to you about Beyond Meat burgers and how shocked I was at those. Well, this week I made something with Beyond sausage. So I do an Italian thing with gluten-free pasta and cheese, and then bell peppers. It's the color bell peppers. Get 2 or 3 colors of those. Onion, fresh garlic. Saute that up. Seemed like I had something else in there this time. What else did I have in it? I guess that's it. And then, man, you fix that up. In fact, I actually had it for dinner one night this week, and then I turned around and had it for lunch or dinner the second. I had back-to-back nights for dinner. Amazing, super good. Olive oil, salt. Actually, I did use some. What's the green? It's not prosciutto. It was not a meat. It's a. Oh my gosh, it's green, and you put it on pasta. Pesto, thank you.
Pesto?
Yeah, a little pesto sauce on there.
You're welcome.
Which was really good. So, yeah, I guess I should take pictures of this and send some of that to you. But that was what I ate this week. Super good. I didn't do a calorie count or anything on it to see. I mean, again, I'm sure the pasta that I was having, with cheese, didn't help dramatically on that, but on balance, not being a tomato-based sauce and being it was pretty heavy veg loaded. Um, and I did have a spinach and arugula salad with it. So I would say caloric count might have been slightly on the high side, but no meat. No meat. So
Yeah, I haven't gotten into that yet. So I think this week I'm gonna try.
Start with the burgers. I'm telling you,
I
start with
didn't
the
eat
burger.
any meat-free meat
Yeah.
burgers. Really?
Start with a burger.
Okay.
I'm telling you, make you a bed of lettuce, get you a bed of not lettuce or like I ate spinach and arugula, but whatever your mixed lettuces or whatever. Grill it up. It looks a lot like a hamburger. I did one once with some fake cheese, some smoked provolone fake cheese, which is really good. But if you want to use regular cheese, that's cool too. But make sure you put your onion, tomato, put all those fixings on there as well. Just because, I mean, you start mixing all that together, you get good tomato, you get some onion. Hell, anything tastes good with that. You don't even really have to have the patty thing by that time. You know, tomato and onion, you're all good. But yeah, I again, but
Yeah.
no bun. Skip the bun. Leave it home. Get away from that. You don't need those. They're stinky.
I'll skip the wine. How's that? I'm not gonna have bun. I'll have a bun substitute.
You'll learn it's a
did it to
veggie
you.
burger in a salad.
All right. All right. So what did I have?
I
you
did.
ask?
Or did I? I don't think I asked
I'd
you
had
that.
these before, but mini bell peppers. Yeah, they were really really good. Ate a ton of them. I don't know what the difference is. Why minis are so much sweeter? I felt like I don't know if it's maybe the pith isn't developed as much, but
Now, were these the
really good.
elongated?
So,
Were these the
I'm a fan.
elongated peppers, or were they the mini bells? I mean, either one. They're all bred for sweetness.
Well, I mean, I call them mini bells, but they kind of look like the
Yeah,
size
yeah.
of a jalapeno.
Well,
but they're
there's some people
multicolored,
doing
right? Those
some
aren't
mini
bells.
bells that actually look like a bell pepper, and that's when I was. And there's not much of that out there. Most everybody does exactly what you had, and they call them mini sweets or whatever. So they're bred. So all the color bells typically are always sweeter. Orange almost always is the sweetest. So if you cut up a yellow, orange, and red pepper and you taste them, typically the orange is going to be the sweeter of the three if you're eating them raw. And certainly in those little mini bells that you're talking about, all of those are bred to be sweeter. But the orange almost always is the sweetest, yellow being next, and then red being the least of the three. So not always a guarantee. There may be somebody right. Yeah, but it's how they're bred. They're different. It's a different. That stuff's all grown in houses, either shade house or greenhouse, typically. Yeah, seed's expensive. I can tell you that.
Well, I'll tell you something sweet. I'm really looking forward to. Laura suggested a vegan and gluten-free medjool date cheesecake that we got a recipe for this last week, which I'm going to try to make between now and next podcast. So yeah, I got that recipe in response to my reckless behavior with cheesecake a couple weeks ago. So I'm looking forward to it. Actually, it looks really really good. So,
yeah, I saw that. I actually thought you had sent that.
Speaking of reckless behavior, no, she said it.
Okay.
I was gonna say, speaking of reckless behavior, you attended the PMA food service show this last weekend. I only say that because I know there's a lot of great food and drinks and all that stuff, not because of anything else.
If so, yes, and yes. Food. Okay, so food service PMA obviously canceled last year. Back live and in person this year. We've had in the industry. Is this the third or the fourth show? Of course, there was Viva, there was SEPC. Was there anything in between those two before this one? Onion guys or anybody do anything? Watermelons? Canada didn't do theirs. Canada wasn't live. Canada usually comes in. United cancels theirs. arc, with them merging and everything. I think they kind of merged it into this one. Let's go with it's the third one. If there was a fourth one, we apologize for not telling you.
Third or fourth.
It's third or fourth. It was the second one for me. So I went to Viva, didn't go to SCPC. We had some other folks, Matt and some of the guys went to the SCPC, but well attended, I thought. I wasn't really sure. Everybody's still kind of uncertain as to how things are going to go, right? We're still kind of throwing things out there and not 100% sure but it'll show up, but it was super well attended. They did, as they always do. PMA did a super nice job with everything. We did have a kind of a lunch and breakout session where Lauren spoke and asked some poignant questions of businesses and how the world looked going into the future. But thought it was a great event. And then the show itself, there was super good traffic there. We had good meetings, and talking to a lot of people. It's the food service end of the business is starting to come back, for sure. Some areas actually it's back to pre-pandemic levels. The bigger challenge right now for everybody across all walks of life, but at the restaurant level for sure. But even in the produce distribution world and everything is labor. The service levels are, the demand is there. There's plenty of people going to restaurants, but that was one thing that a lot of people were talking about at the show was just service levels are hard to maintain and keep up with because there's more demand for restaurants and not enough people to be at the restaurants or be doing those jobs. And then on the produce side of it, there's a lot of people struggling at the warehouse levels and distribution level for produce. So it's a great show. Super good to see everybody. Saw some folks that I didn't see at Viva at this particular show. And
so you'd say it was as usual. I mean, it basically measured up to a pre-COVID version.
Well, I don't know that I would say measured up because attendance wise, and I'm only pulling a rabbit out of the hat. And I'd say it's probably, I don't know what the number would be. I think I'd be wrong. I mean, 75%, 80% of what.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't expect it to be. Yeah. I mean, close,
yeah.
Right? So nothing.
Yeah, no. I mean, I thought it was
nothing noticeably less.
No, there was, right. We were able to have some really good meetings, and fortunately most of the customers for that business, they're here in Northern California, so they don't even have to travel that far. A lot of them have offices here in the area. So it's a little different business where, on the retail side, there's people from all over the U.S., not to mention out of, Canada or whatever, Mexico, coming into some of those things. So, yeah, I for us, it was a good show and super thrilled to see everybody out there, and PMA did a good job.
That's great. I'm jealous.
I wish you were. I tried to get you to come out.
Definitely,
we were going to do this show from here.
One of the great shows.
That was the idea, but you couldn't seem to break away from your busy schedule.
Yeah, unfortunately, some of us have to work. The old some of us have to work routine.
Yeah, I know.
But I do understand that you did make some time to watch your Phoenix Suns.
Oh my
in the finals.
gosh, man!
How'd that go?
You know what? I think I might have jinxed them when we had that podcast a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I don't know if I corrected that on this last one we had last week. Can't remember if I did or not. But, man, they didn't make it. They got up 2-0.
Well, yeah, you were trying the old reverse. You were trying the old reverse psychology.
Oh, that's right. I tried that. It didn't pay off at all. I mean, they just basically went down in flames on this one. Which... Jonas, you gotta. I mean, the young guy, he stinking was something else, man. When it came down to it, and like a young LeBron James out there, he was going to will that win. I mean, that's just what it came down to. He willed it. I think it was game 4 when it was up 2-2, went 2-2. Yeah. I mean, Phoenix all but had, I believe, it's game 5 four or five. I can't remember. Had to be four. One. And I mean, he just literally, I mean, blocks a shot that is just ridiculous block. And long and short of it, Phoenix didn't get it done, and that's the game they should have got it done in. If they'd have got that done, it probably would have turned out much more my liking, but it didn't. Hats off to the Bucks and that whole squad. They played a heck of a series, and frankly, I think they of the two teams, Phoenix probably was the better team, but not when it came down to that game. So.
Well, the good news is you've got the Cowboys to look forward to.
Training camp, baby. So, can you believe we're back in Oxnard, huh?
Can't believe it.
So.
You say we, but okay.
You're not a Cowboy guy? I thought you were a Cowboy fan. Come on.
Yeah, I like the Cowboys. They make it hard to root for them sometimes, but yeah, I like the Cowboys.
That's not even right, man.
Let's just say they're not my number one team.
Is Houston, those guys, like Houston's a better squad? Is that your team?
No, I didn't say so. I just said, look, I mean, we could have a whole other show about this, but
could we?
The Cowboys they make it hard for them to love them. I mean, you got to admit that.
Born and raised in Dallas, I don't know. Do they 5 Super Bowls? I know it's been a long time since the last one, but at least there are 5.
Is this somewhere where I can just say whine?
I'm not whining. There's no whining, no? and maybe you.
No, I'm talking about wine, like drinking wine. Remember when you give me a hard time?
That's when you say wine. Okay,
so I was hoping maybe this is what.
I mean, so yeah, I understand it being hard to love them, and I know a lot of people leave me as a Cowboy fan since I was a wee little tite. We being raised in Dallas, there was no other option. We didn't know anybody else existed in the world, but it's been tough. But I mean, every year I'm optimistic, and this year I'm optimistic. Some people are not huge Dak fans. I've been a Dak fan ever since he left Mississippi State. I didn't like him when he was at Mississippi State, but I got the opportunity to see him play against Johnny Manziel in the final game at the old Kyle Field Stadium. And, buddy, it was a shootout. In fact, if there would have been another 60 seconds on the clock, Johnny would have probably lost that game and Dak would have probably won it. I mean, I think it was like 60-63 or something. It was the most ridiculous game you've ever seen in terms of just offense, but both of them were gunslingers and they were slinging it out. And anyway, I saw him play in college and I knew he would be. He's got such good heart. Big heart, big player, and I'm anxious to see how he does coming back from this injury because, man, a lot of people don't come back from that.
Yeah. No, a lot of people don't.
So,
well, we wish the best for him. How about the Olympics? Have you watched any of the Olympics? We're coming up on, opening ceremony was Friday, but there were a few events prior to that. Have you watched any of the Olympics or the opening ceremony? That's always fun. We recorded that. I've watched it in pieces.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not. That's a area that I'm not very good at watching or being part of. So I'm going to answer it on it. I'm going to answer it honestly, no. But I am going to watch the women's javelin throw. Just because I feel like I've got a little bit of a connection through that. So why don't you tell everybody about why that's relevant and everybody should watch the women's javelin contest this year?
Well, yeah, that makes it fun, right? If you know a story at least, or know somebody that knows somebody, and in this case, my wife's cousin, her name's Maggie Malone, and she'll be throwing. She's a javelin thrower, and she's in the Olympics. This is her second Olympics, actually. So in 2016, she was the first female javelin thrower to win the NCAA title and the U.S. Olympic team trials title in the same season. And then here, I guess it was weekend before last, she broke the U.S. women's record. So she's on fire, and she will be throwing on August 3rd. I think the A and B rounds are in the morning, and then August 4th in the afternoon is the final.
So this actually
I don't
this
think
will
she's
actually drop.
there
This
yet.
actually
She might.
drops August 1st. So good. Everybody will have a chance to hear this, and timing will be perfect for everybody to tune in on August 3rd and catch her.
Timing will be perfect. Yeah, so we've got our T-shirts that that everybody that knows her had made, or she had somebody make and send to everybody, and so we'll be having a watching party for that. So that'll be fun.
That's honestly that's awesome.
Which I love the Olympics. I mean, yeah, I love the Olympics, and this makes it even more special. So, yeah, I wish I could be there. That'd be fun. Rio, I think. What was going on in Rio? Why people wouldn't go because of wasn't there something going on? Wasn't there had something to do with mosquitoes? Help me out here.
Man, I don't remember mosquitoes.
During the Rio Olympics, there was a big there was a big concern with people getting sick from
was it
something
the oh yeah, not the hantavirus, but the yeah.
Yeah, I remember being a concern. I mean, nothing like COVID, but it was something.
But I don't remember. But anyway. I thought people went.
It's always something.
Was it
the Zika virus? Yeah. Yeah, I think it was the Zika virus. That's what it was.
All right. Yeah. Laura, we're going to go with that because I don't recall that. I think Ed's right. I remember the World Cup was there about the same time. You had the World Cup and the Olympics kind of at the same time in Rio back then. So. Yeah. Anyway, but that's super exciting.
Well, I love the Olympics. I know it's only, yes, definitely exciting for her and the family and everybody involved. It's been pretty exciting to see. It's neat to see greatness or to know people that have achieved that kind of greatness in sports.
So when are you getting her on the show?
A lot of time and work and dedication. I don't know. Maybe I'll ask her when she gets back.
You should, and
That'd be pretty cool.
So that quote that you had today, that she would be a perfect person to ask if that quote is appropriate, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I can think of a lot of quotes, but that's a good one.
Yeah.
Right? Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out.
I bet she's repeated a few efforts a couple of times.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what I can figure out.
Well, like I say,
I'll work on that. Leave that with me.
I'm putting it with you, buddy. I'm putting it with you. Well, hey, I did send something out this week. Speaking of people and ladies of success and things like that, did you see my note on Christy Brinkley, who's I think 67 for crying out loud?
I didn't see that. No.
Yeah. So Christy Brinkley.
Was that copied?
Yeah, in the group message thing. You don't read it, so I know that.
In the Discord?
Yeah.
Huh. I do.
Sort of. Anyway,
go
back and look at it. So Christy Brinkley, which, by the way, I don't know if some of you listening may not know who she is. She was, I guess, I don't know if her first claim to fame was Sports Illustrated or
she's the original supermodel.
What? Well, yeah. I mean, was she the original?
She's the original. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I would say she's probably the original supermodel.
It just seems. I think maybe so.
Close to it.
Yeah, maybe. We'll go with that, Ed. Yeah. She's the original supermodel. Somebody can call us out if she's not. Either way, back when we were younger, she was absolutely a goddess. In fact, if you ever watch Chevy Chase in the original Vacation movie, Christy Brinkley's in that. She's the young lady that Chevy Chase winds up in the swimming pool with at the hotel. So I'm taking y'all back in time, but if you haven't seen that, you need to go
very far back.
Huh?
Very far back.
Yeah, and I watched that with Granger. Granger does not find, which is amazing. He didn't find Caddyshack nor that movie all that funny. So I guess it was all timing. You had to be there. So, but Christy Brinkley is 67, and she is still taking very good care of herself. has a good life and continues to rock on. But I think the question or the article was about, Christy and what her secret to life is or whatever. I mean, she had a couple of different things that were really relevant, but there's one thing that she said is just non-negotiable. And that is attitude of gratitude. For her, waking up and focusing on being grateful for what she has and where she's at and who she is, all the things, right? Just being an attitude of gratitude, having that positive attitude is something that she strives to focus on every day, right? I mean, she did mention, certainly eating right, something, exercise. And then she said, which I'd never, nobody ever said, except, Tanya's a big one on this, Laura reminded me, but sunblock. So hers was, number one, without doubt, to focus on is attitude, gratitude, eat right, exercise, and sunblock. And so I try that. Gratefulness, first thing I do in the morning. That's one of the ways I start my day off, is trying to do that. And, I do a prayer and be grateful. And then about 20, 30 minutes into my day, everything seems to blow out the window. So I've got to work on taking my gratitude a little farther than the first 15, 20 minutes of my day. I think Christy's talking about doing it all day long. So that's something I'm trying to work on. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I thought that was nice to read. If you don't know who she is or don't know much about Christy Brinkley, check it out. Check her out. She's like 67, 68, something like that. And she's obviously lived a good, healthy life and taken very good care of herself. And Ed, unlike you, I don't think she's had Botox.
I wasn't expecting that. I'm sitting here laughing that there are people that aren't going to know who she is. And like you mentioned, the, National Lampoon's movies and, just having grown up in the 80s, everybody knew who she was. But
yeah,
there will be folks that don't. So that's just kind of mind blowing.
And I guess Farrah Fawcett, I guess, wasn't.
That's a great.
Yeah, she wasn't a supermodel, was she? Just sorry. I mean, hold that great thought. But Farrah Fawcett was just Charlie's Angels.
No.
She was not a supermodel.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think Christy Brinkley was, but
I think you may be right. You
Someone
may be
can
on
correct us. I don't know. Maybe Angus will write in.
Angus,
let us know.
Angus, the team roping rodeo magician.
Well, that's a very, very good note to end on, wouldn't you say? I mean, it's getting pretty late.
It is.
I haven't had dinner yet. I've got to hurry up and start fasting, so I've got to eat something.
I feel you.
Funny.
I think it is an outstanding segue to close. I'm hoping through this production, I'm a little concerned with our production and that it all gets all downloaded well, but hopefully it does. But it's once again great to talk to you. I will be back in the old home office, as they say, this time next week. Hopefully not sweating bullets. I think it's been raining quite a bit back in Tucson, or the Dirty T, as some people call it. I'll be making my way back over there. Looking forward to it. I can't wait to get back there. I got to be honest with you. I'm looking forward to that. And I enjoyed it. Another good week. Good times here. Lots of good food and good friends. So get back to some of the Rego stuff. But anything on yours before we close out? Any closing thoughts? Any wishes?
I think we've covered it all. I'm going to try to make that cheesecake this week. And other than that, if you like what you're hearing, subscribe, like, follow, repost. Follow us at the Fresh CrEd and on Instagram, at CrEd Fresh on Twitter, the Fresh CrEd on YouTube. And we appreciate you being with us.
All right, everybody. That's another The Fresh CrEd in the books. We thank you all for joining us. Ed, Laura, and Mason in the background. Thank you guys all very much. Have a great week. We'll see y'all.
See you.
Bye.